She's doing this on purpose. She just wants attention all the time.
No, I'm not well, so I'm coughing. देखो सराय ने विक्रम भट्ट को मारा. Oh my God.
चले जा रहे हैं एक्टर धीरे धीरे इधर उधर कौन है बोल रहे हैं. So there is one danda and the heroine is getting scared and
Firstly, welcome to Box Office India.
Thank you.
Congratulations for your upcoming film.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You have mastered the art of, horror films. Every time you come up with something new, and this time it's Ghost.
It's Ghost.
So how did the idea of this whole story come up?
Actually, till now, whatever films I have made in this genre, they have been love stories or period horror films like 1920. But this time around, we are fascinated by a true story. This is the first time I have made something on a true story. I was researching something and I came across this case in the US in 1981. The case by itself was called the Devil Made Me Do It case. And it was about a man called Arne Johnson who apparently murdered his landlord. And then his defense in court was that I didn't do it, the devil made me do it, I was possessed. Of course, the judge threw out the case because he found it ridiculous. But I didn't find it ridiculous because I love spirits. So I thought to myself, what a fascinating. She's doing this on purpose. She just wants attention all the time.
No, I'm not well, so I'm coughing. Okay.
Tell you this woman. Anyway, so the thing is that I thought it was a fascinating idea that what if someone is framed for murder and the spirit has actually done it? How are you going to prove in court? And so this whole the legal system versus supernatural was fascinating, and that's why Ghost is a really different horror film than what I've made before.
How did you guys come on board? What was your reaction when you heard the story?
I'm just going to be greedy out here as an actor. Oh, can I hit you like that?
Yeah, you can. Go ahead.
A bit too late.
देखो सराय ने विक्रम भट्ट को मारा. Oh my God.
कुछ नहीं बाबा, तुम्हारे fans तो बोलेंगे और मारो.
I'm just going to be greedy as an actor and say this. Of course, I'm a, whenever I hear or I see in a film inspired by true events, it makes you want to watch that thing much more because you're like, I really want to know that this happened to people, this happened to somebody. So that being one, and number two being the character that was given to me, Simran Singh, extremely complex, but extremely challenging for an actor to play. So for me, it was like when I was reading, I remember when Vikram was sending me the screenplay and I was reading and I was like, oh my God, what's the issue with her? But very challenging for an actor to play, and also, if I may say this,
Yeah, please.
It's like, ladka ladki ko bachata hai at times. I felt like the hero of the film. And I was like, somebody is entrusting me with this character. He's believing that I can carry this on my shoulders. He's giving it to me and saying that, here, be the hero of my film. So there was no way I could say no.
What about you?
So I remember I was also sitting at home when Vikram sir's casting director got in touch with me and said that sir is planning on making this film and he'd like to talk to you. And when I spoke with him and he told me about it, I was blown away because there's so much to the story. I've grown up watching horror movies. I love horror movies. It's always really nice when there's a horror movie that actually has a story to tell and not just jump scares. So when I heard that, I was immediately on board. I was like, sir, if you're asking me to be on your film, I'm definitely in. Like, there's no questions asked. And that's just how I got in.
What are the challenges that you face while making a horror film?
See, when you're actually directing a horror film on the set, it's very different because there is no dialogue. There's just the lighting and the camera, and you're taking shots. And the crew really finds it boring because, चले जा रहे हैं actor, धीरे धीरे इधर उधर कौन है बोल रहे हैं. But you need to keep the final shape of the film in mind when you're shooting. But the basic challenge is that, you know, if you're making if you're making a comedy, and if the joke is good, everybody in the crew laughs. Or if you're making if you're doing an emotional scene and everybody in the crew is really moved, you know, that, oh God, बहुत अच्छा emotional scene है यार. But in a horror film, everything is done in post. So the biggest challenge is, so on the set everybody is like, and mostly the spirit is never there because that's special effects. So there is one danda and the heroine is getting scared, and so basically everybody is thinking, यार ये क्या बनाता रहता है यार, कभी lunch break होगा पता नहीं. So you don't get a gauge of what you're doing on the set. You generally see bored faces, and you have to keep your strength through that boredom and say, no, Vikram, you got it, don't worry. They'll be scared in the end, even if they're bored right now. So I think that's the biggest challenge. And in the case of Ghost, the challenge I think was also the weather, because we were shooting in very cold temperatures. We were, as a matter of fact, there was one location where we were doing the climax.
Oh God! Oh God!
It was, you know, it was -1 or -2, and there was no heating in that place. And we were shooting nights. तो वैसे ही भूत दिख रहे थे हमको.
That location was crazy. Nothing was helping in that location. I was standing, you know, I was standing next to this heater, the portable heaters. My jacket caught on fire. I didn't even realize, and I was still cold. That's how cold it was.
And anyway, she feels very cold.
Oh yeah.
मतलब nobody wanted to sit next to her at lunchtime because there were like 3 heaters on her. We were like, my God, यार ये तो मतलब पूरा कबाब बन के बाहर निकलने वाली है.
Forget wanted, you could not sit next to her. It was impossible.
Yeah, so we used to just get our heat looking at her. सनाया ठीक है तो हम सब ठीक हैं.
What are the challenges you guys faced as an actor while shooting this film?
You know, pretty much like honestly what Vikram said, there is a danda and I'm looking at the danda and getting scared, and for me my VFX was Vikram. He was, thank you for it though, he would keep complete silence on set and he would make sounds, and like how nice of him to do that. He could just be like, okay, imagine there's a sound coming from there, he'd actually make those sounds. And me being the fattu, if I can say that word, me being the fattu that I am, I was actually like organically reacting to all of this. So he made that challenge actually easier. Like he said, there was nothing to really look at. Like it's like you go and you're like, but you know, there is some setting guy standing next to that waiting to come clean the glass after. So and yeah, the weather, like he said, I just cannot handle the cold. Like I'm cold right now. So there was a point in the film, remember when I was doing that scene with Hazel outside where she comes, like my lips weren't moving. Like I couldn't say my dialogues. It was so cold. So yes, weather was extremely challenging, and most actually challenging for me was the character. I just didn't get it. Like Vikram won't admit it, but he always says, no, you were fine, you were great. I was horrid, I feel initially. I just didn't get the character. I didn't understand what Vikram wanted from me. I was just like, why am I doing this? What is the matter with me? But I've said this in multiple interviews before. He really nurtured this character of Simran Singh. And he nurtured me also to get into it. And I could not. He will always say, no, Sanaya, you're great, you're a great actor. But I couldn't have done this without him. I just could not have.
I think more than anything, it's just that our personalities were so different from our characters. So it wasn't exactly a challenge, but at the same time, we really had to believe in the character to get into it. And of course, yeah, the weather, when you were outside especially, you're dead. Indoors, it was still fine, but yeah.
You guys are working with each other for the first time. How was your experience working with each other, working with him?
It's not my first time with Vikram. Okay. I did a web series called Zindabad and he was my co-actor in that. So it was not my first time. He's too cute. But yeah, but with him it was my first time. Do you want to take this?
honestly, we were just like the house on fire. We were always laughing. We were always jumping around. We were like children.
डांट भी पड़ गई हमें.
But our characters
No.
were super mature.
Ever?
Remember in the jail.
Not you guys. I was getting angry with the Jimmy
But
Jip
remember
operator.
when
No,
we
but
were
he'd always
talking
be
and you
listening
heard
because we're
us?
always
Yeah,
talking,
yeah.
and he's like, "Can they shut up? Like, what are they on about?" But
I'm saying start sound. The guy is giving the clap, and they're still. I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah. But with Vikram sir, so it was my first time working with him. So it was really great because he's very clear with what he wants. So while we were on set, it was all business,
Yeah.
very sure of what we wanted. And then when we would have our lunch breaks, then we'd have our conversations. He'd tell us about his old stories from other films and about how we should go about our work. And that was more of a fun time. But
Yeah.
while on work, very straight. There is an incident that Sir might like to share, where we actually had to stop shooting.
Where? A lot of times that happened.
Yeah, but like that day, people got scared.
What?
It was the evening when everyone was like, "Kya ho raha hai yahan pe? What is happening? Maybe we should stop."